So this website is called the Ascension Glossary, and it tells you everything about the New Age ascension, but this ascension is all coming directly from the fallen angels, from the firmament, because in this website, they detail everything. They detail all their goals, and their motto is God, sovereign and free. So sovereign is that they are independent of our Father in heaven, the Godhead, and they are free, like the Freemasons. They're free, and their God is actually Satan. They believe in like the law of one, so they're very culty based, but also they have their own technological systems, and they have their own genetic hybridization system, and some of those have been revealed here. So the crystalline DNA that you saw on Britney and all the celebrities, that's like coming from these guys, and they call it like the crystal star or the crystalline DNA. And they do this kind of stuff, and they are giving a disclosure about like the satanic Luciferian things, but it is not correct, because they are the ones that are actually satanic and Luciferians themselves, but they are lying to you in terms of like their intention. They're not saying that we are Satanists and we are changing, but they are pretending to give disclosure of the Satanists and Luciferians, but they themselves are those. But we can also look at this in terms of our Father in heaven, that is giving disclosure and testimony for everything. And sometimes these fallen angels are giving their own testimony, because for us human beings, there is no way to know these things. There's no way for us to understand it. So sometimes it has to come from the source itself so that we know it. So whatever their intent is, they have their own intent behind all this, but it is also giving disclosure of their own system, and it's also giving disclosure of that they know what they should not be doing, and they are still doing them. So they're giving disclosure about like the negative aliens, satanic, Luciferian agendas, violent religions. So they're giving disclosure of all that, all of the technology, but they themselves are the ones doing those things and giving technology, giving this level of disclosure, because this is actually planned for the end times, because they will present this sort of information to you, and you will believe them, and you will take into their system, though that system, that end time system, the Great Tribulation, only lasts for 7 years, and all this work is for that. But it's not the whole thing, because it's much more complicated. But it gives you a basic idea of who they are, what they do, how they think, what they believe, their crystalline DNA. It's all detailed in this Ascension Glossary website. So they talk about like quantum mechanics, evolutionary cycles, service to others. They talk about the ascension cycles, the end time, planetary hosting change. That's not true. It's all coming from them. Like they live in their own delusion and they believe in their own thing, but that's not the case. And they are in their own deception as well. And they believe what they believe, and no one can change that. So over here it says, the term Christ or Christos used in this context is not denoting the individual being referenced to as Jesus Christ, as taught through the world religions. Christos extends way beyond all meaning associated with planetary consciousness and actually describes the state of eternal cosmic consciousness, the title given to a free cosmic citizen. So they call themselves the Christos, and their DNA, which is the base 12 natural orders of Christos blueprint, like they created that. So somehow they're playing with the word Christos, because they named, I think Jesus Christ is like the Greek translation of Yeshua, and they translated that. So these fallen angels were Greeks before, and now they are like a Westerner, like that they speak English, which is the current dominating world, whereas previously they were Greeks and spoke Greek, and everything was translated to Greek. Now everything is translated to English because that's like the ruling system is speaking English now. So that's what they're saying. So it's not associated with Jesus Christ. They just want to use the word Christos. That's typical of them, to steal someone's identity and rebrand it as their own, whatever is convenient for whatever season. Previously, Jesus Christ was convenient. Now it's like Christos and cosmic citizen is convenient for them. And then they're also playing with the 0 point, which is the Sunyata 0. They're also playing with that concept because it's like the crystal architecture is self-perpetuating and inner sustaining. The math is represented by including 0 point or 0 in its numerical sequence, 0, 1, 2, whatever that is, through doubling each numerical value, since each of the numerical values derived through returning to 0 and adding all the numbers together to get the highest value in its sequence. So like they do this kind of stuff. It makes sense to them, but it's not the complete thing. It's basically, maybe it's true, and it's like a form of extraction, like pulling out magnesium, for example, from a plant and leaving the rest out. So this is the same thing. They're just extracting something, and they only give you like 1% of reality. And 0 point doesn't mean that. 0 point is realizing sunyata. You can learn the real 0 from the Sunyata Buddhism, and this is not what it is. 0 has nothing to do with 1, 2, 3, 4. Trinity principle of crystal star, so the threefold founder flame, that's another one stolen from the Buddhist teachings. For example, if I go in there. So this is the 3 founder principle that they talk about, which is power, love, and wisdom. But this power, love, and wisdom is a Buddhist principle that these three things are called the Buddha quality. Power, love, and wisdom is called the Buddha quality, your ability to teach, and it has nothing to do with the Godhead. So the power, love, and wisdom that they are showing here, the fifth harmonic universe thing that they're doing, it's actually like when you, in Buddhism, when in order to become a Buddha, you generate you learn wisdom, and after you acquire wisdom, you realize that everyone is asleep or everyone is being conned and deceived, and you develop compassion for them because they're ignorant and they do not know. And after you develop compassion for them, you generate power, and that power is your teaching. So that's the Buddha quality: wisdom, love, and power. So you gain wisdom and you generate empathy for other beings that do not know how to overcome suffering. And then through that empathy, you generate power, and through that power, you teach. And that's what the real meaning of this is. And this is all made up stuff. So they take a pre-existing concept and they just apply it and create their own system and apply it into their own system and devise their own system, create their own system. And they call that the threefold founder flame. It has nothing to do with gender. Power, love, and wisdom. That's a Buddha quality, to be able to teach, to be able to empower others, to give information, to help other people, free other people from ignorance. That's what it is. And this is what they are teaching. So the fallen angels programmed me into this. So they made me study this and read this, and they made me believe this. When I was firstly opened into telepathy, they actually showed me all this and basically taught me their system. And then later, after I became acquainted with the Hebrew scriptures, I was able to realize that what they are teaching is all false, and this is all the fallen angel system. It's not our human system, or it's not the system of our Father in heaven. So this is like Satan's system, Lucifer's system. They made that. So this is a very important thing to understand, how they are playing with their crystalline DNA. So here you'll see the original DNA is silicate. The original instruction blueprint of our DNA is a lattice of pure liquid crystal, an ideal transmitter and receiver of energetic resonance, intercommunication, and perceiving a variety of levels of consciousness. The original instruction set is what connects our consciousness to experience God, source, levels in our personal Christ consciousness. So they just make up these things, but some could be true. We don't know if the DNA lattice is pure crystalline, because every human being is known to have that crystalline component, the liquid crystal component. Every human, every living being, all the animals, everyone has it. I don't know if that's like the correct thing. It's if it's the DNA, if it's the blood, I don't know that. The 12-strand DNA, which they call the Diamond Sun 12-strand DNA, you can see that Brittany is doing the self-disclosure for that from their world, like she is showing that. And so you can study that here, all the things that they have written, and it gets very complicated and it's very detailed to a point that it doesn't make any sense. Even when like these guys, they know all this information, it doesn't make any sense. You can understand it only through your limitation. Even if you have the entire code like this in front of you, you can only understand it through your own limitation, and you cannot fully understand it. That's why they haven't solved their own genetic problem, and they haven't solved anything. And everything they do is like a dead end. It's like an incomplete technology, incomplete genetic experiments, incomplete. Everything is incomplete because everything is limited in perception. The code could be right in front of you, but you don't understand it because you don't have the mind of God to understand it. So the code in a way protects itself. So here you can see like the invader, with the invaders' agenda of genetic modification to usurp and even eliminate the mother DNA language from the planet, the human race suffers without properly functioning mitochondrial DNA that is unable to effectively generate the new proteins for DNA synthesis for activating the crystal gene. So all these stuff that they are obsessed with, and they are playing with, like the gender splitter. They're playing with the 12-strand diamond DNA template in which to scramble the cellular alphabet. So you can study it there and get an understanding of where that hologram glitches is coming from, how they are working with the crystalline DNA, how they're manipulating that, and what they're doing, and how they're studying the human body, and how they're studying it, and how they're trying to even use that for them, for their own selves, because they themselves as a race is like going downhill in terms of like their genetics and their biology. They have a lot of problem because they disconnected with our father, so they cannot maintain that. So they're using like the human genetics and hybridizing themselves and giving themselves some decent form. 500 years ago, when Babylon Sumer invasion erased DNA race memory at Stonehenge except for chosen ones, reptilians, distorted holographic tree of life, took out 8D and 12D, blocked life force and Kundalini natural flow glands, pineal, pituitary, hypothalamus, thyroid, shortening lifespan and damaged immunity, set up for recycling to astral 4D, scrambled the geometric codes and morphields, blocked interdimensional perception, rewrote human DNA, rewrote human history from 5,500 at time of invasion, patriarchal dominance and enslavement agenda for humans. So these are all the things that they could have done, but not like shortening lifespan. That's not true, because the shortening of the lifespan happens naturally because we are on a cessation trajectory. The earth is in a cessation path, which is like the dying. That is said in the Hebrew scriptures, and Buddhism is the same thing. We are in a dying phase, and Christ said the earth and heaven will die, and a new earth and a new heaven will be formed. And the earth is aging, so that's why we are living shorter. And the more closer we get to the end times, the shorter the lifespan is. And they are saying even the humans that are born will be born old, because everything gets very shortened. So they did not shorten the lifespan. It's just naturally happening. But they rewrote human history, that I believe. And you have the 5,500 years here. That is more accurate with the Hebrew calendar. So over here, they're speaking some truth there. So all of this is like a mix of lies and reality, mix of true and false, and whatever suits their narrative, that's what they write. They might give out some truths, but sometimes they just tend to take everything, even things occurring naturally, they'll claim that they have done. CRISPR is like well known online. Genetic modification, genome editing, and CRISPR. So all this you can understand, study it. And this is the woman that's called Lisa Renee. And she's writing this apparently. But she could be a clone, a hologram, and from the firmament, like a fallen angel, because this person's very tall. So it could be a gray and wears like lipstick and has like that kind of like blue eyes. So they could be like a gray reptilian or just a gray. So they give out a lot of information, but don't believe in this stuff because they talk about the collective awakening event, that which is the end times. So they are going to play their own collective awakening event game when we are initiated into the Great Tribulation or the redemption plan of humanity. Every individual has a redemption plan with our Father in heaven and with Yeshua, Son of God. Everyone has their own redemption plan. So don't lose that. Don't be tricked by this collective awakening event, because two things will be playing out side by side. There will be your real redemption plan through the Son of God and Father, and there will be a redemption plan, a fake redemption plan through the collective awakening by giving you this level of information. Godhead, Christos, Guardian, Yeshua, Church of Rome, scenes, Book of Revelation, Armageddon software, violent religion, negative agenda, crucifixion, implant, alien agenda. All of this will be taught to you, and they will try and hijack your real redemption plan. And that's what you have to be careful with, where it's coming from, and it's all the fallen angels. So over here we have the full disclosure event, Guardian mission statement, the collective awakening event. Where can I start? So they've already prepared for that. So you have to be very careful with these things, because they will hijack your real redemption plan. That is with Christ, and that is with the Son of God and Father. The full disclosure event of the global awakening is referring to the highest level of extraterrestrial interdimensional disclosure to earthlings that reveal the most detailed scenarios of our true hidden extraterrestrial human galactic history, and not the manipulated lies of the negative alien agenda NAA version of the archonic deception strategy rewritten history used to control the mainstream historical records to enslave the human population since the Sumerian Egypt invasion. So they're like, oh, we're going to give you disclosure of the negative alien groups, the secret space programs, human trafficking, mind control, transhumanism, AI agendas, soft kill agendas, eugenics, DNA. So we're going to give you disclosure for all this, the power elite, the negative alien, satanic ideologies. That's their full disclosure event, just to buy your trust and just to trick you from your redemption plan. So be careful with this, because they are the draconian agenda. This is all a draconian agenda, and it is not coming from the Father and Son. It is not coming from the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. It is coming from Lucifer. It's coming from Satan. It's coming from the fallen angels of the firmament.